what you think of these pretty big and major moves by Meta today.
I mean, I'm thrilled to see them is the upshot. I think the reality is that free speech on the internet is an absolutely critical thing to uphold. There was a period in the last few years where, for a lot of reasons, we saw a lot of content moderation, a lot of investment in that. Look, the reality is doing content moderation as a central platform is pretty dangerous and impossible to do well. And so seeing this moment where Meta is able to step back and say, look, we're going to move much more towards a world where, just like the post office, just like a phone, we route messages to the people who want to hear them. If we're not in the business of moderating, I think is a great step.
Do you, Sam, think it's a final step, or 4 or 8 or 12 years from now, when some Obama 2.0 character takes office, is Facebook going to kind of go with the times once again?
Well, here's what I basically say. I mean, I think from a first principles perspective, I think Mark has always been clear, and, he gave a great speech about this many years ago, that he's an enormous free speech advocate. The reality is that when you operate a company like Meta at scale, it is impossible to not have to manage politics to some degree. Politics is part of the game when you're running a global platform. So you can have having strong principles is key, having those principles be clear and transparent, giving people the tools to hold you accountable to those principles, I think, are critical. And so I think we're in a good moment. But will there, in the next 50 years, be times and places where, you have to kind of deal with political realities and operate in the political climate that exists? Of course there will be.
Of course. And I give him a lot of credit for that speech 5 years ago. It was just at odds with deplatforming Trump at the same time. I guess to ask you the rather direct and pointed question, because you know him, as well as anybody, but is Zuckerberg a liberal? Who is he?
Look, I think the reality is that the moment we're in, which is an interesting one, we're seeing personal brands become more and more important. People standing up and saying, this is who I am and this is what I believe in, even more than organizations. And I think the reality is one of the things that's going to be very interesting about the next several years is you're seeing, for most large companies, for large universities, this move towards people saying, look, I am me. This is how I tell my story. Hold me accountable to my principles and what I put out there. And I think you're going to see that more and more from people versus, an earlier age where there was a mentality of people take a backseat to organizations, and organizations are kind of a unit of trust. And so, look, I'm not going to comment on Mark's personal, my personal relationship or personal politics, but what I will say is I think you're going to see this era, not just at Facebook, not just at, what Trump and Elon have demonstrated, but a real switch towards people saying openly and transparently, this is who I am. These are my principles. Hold me personally accountable for this.
So all of that said, he talked at the very end of the video today about how he was excited to work with the U.S. government in protecting, and I think he said, American companies' kind of free speech. But as you and I know, there's not an American, the American internet is still the global internet. So you can have European officials upset with Musk that he's broadcasting an interview with Trump on X that Europeans might see. So I guess that's why I'm asking, how serious is Zuckerberg about who he is and what he believes? Is this a fight he's willing to take at the expense of Meta, potentially, if they start butting heads with government? He mentioned Latin America. Obviously, they're banned in China.
Look, in the end of the day, the internet was born as an international platform, a single international platform. Now, it turns out that in that single international platform, large American platforms did spectacularly well. There are obviously global companies that aren't American that are a big part of the internet, but the United States and the internet, are very aligned. We're in a period of balkanization, right? China was always balkanized. We're seeing Europe balkanize in its own direction, et cetera. And I think that if there was an era in the last many years of large platforms trying to be present everywhere and placate everyone. And we're going to see a new era of companies saying, look, this is who we are. Leaders saying, this is who we are, what we believe. You can opt in, you can opt out. And that's how it's going to be.